Nailed it. My name's Aaron Parrott. I'm a judge for Poetry Out Loud. This is my 7th year, and this year has been especially difficult during the time of COVID, but I want to thank all of you for participating. You should be very proud you made it this far, and I just want to say that you really, truly give me faith in humanity, watching you all recite with such passionate intensity.
Welcome everyone to the 2021 Montana State Semifinals event. I'm Monica Grable, the Poetry Out Loud coordinator for Montana. During this highly unusual year, schools across our state advanced 19 competitors to 2 virtual regional events. From each of those regionals, 5 competitors advanced to compete in today's event. The 10 state finalists here will be competing in 2 rounds, leading to 5 top finalists for our event tonight at 7 p.m. I know you will enjoy the work of these remarkable students.
Uphill by Christina Rossetti. Does the road wind uphill all the way? Yes, to the very end. Will the day's journey take the whole long day? From morn to night, my friend. But is there for the night a resting place? A roof for when the slow dark hours begin? May not the darkness hide it from my face? You cannot miss that inn. Shall I meet other wayfarers at night, those who have gone before? Then must I knock or call when just in sight? They will not keep you standing at that door. Shall I find comfort, travel sore and weak? Of labor you shall find the sum. Will there be beds for me and all who seek? Yea, beds for all who come.
Epilogue by Robert Lowe. Those blessed structures, plot and rhyme, why are there no help to me now? I want to make something imagined, not recalled. I hear the noise of my own voice. The painter's vision is not a lens. It trembles to caress the light. But sometimes everything I write with the threadbare art of my eye seems a snapshot, lurid, rapid, garished, grouped, heightened from life, yet paralyzed by fact. All's misalliance, yet why not say what happened? Pray for the grace of accuracy? For me it gave to the sun's illumination, stealing like the tide across the map to his girl, solid with yearning. We are poor passing facts, warned by that to give each figure in the photograph his living name.
If We Must Die by Claude McKay. If we must die, let it not be like hogs, hunted and penned in an inglorious spot, where around us bark the mad and hungry dogs, making their mock at our cursed lot. If we must die, oh, let us nobly die, so that our precious blood may not be shed in vain. Then even the monsters we defy shall be constrained to honor us, though dead. O kinsmen, we must meet the common foe. Though far outnumbered, let us show us brave, and for their 1,000 blows deal one death blow. What though before us lies the open grave? Like men, we'll face the murderous, cowardly pack, pressed to the wall, dying, but fighting back.
More Lies by Karen Gottschall. Sometimes I say I'm going to meet my sister at the cafe. Even though I have no sister, just because it's such a beautiful thing to say. I've always thought so. Ever since I read a novel in which two sisters were constantly meeting in cafes. Today, for example, I walked alone on the wet sidewalk, wearing my rain boots, expecting someone might ask where I was headed. I bought a steno pad and a watch battery. The store windows fogged up. Rain in April is a kind of promise, and it costs nothing. I carried a bag of books to the cafe and ordered tea. I like a place that's lit by lamps. I like a place where you can hear people talk about small things, like the difference between azure and cerulean and the price of tulips. It's going down. I watch someone who could be my sister walk in, shaking the rain from her hair. I thought, even now, florists are filling their coolers with tulips, $5 a bundle. All over the city, there are sisters. Any one of them could be mine.
Memory as a Hearing Aid by Tony Hoagland. Somewhere, someone is asking a question, and I stand squinting at the classroom, with one hand cupped behind my ear, trying to figure out where that voice is coming from. I might be already an old man, attempting to recall the night his hearing got misplaced. Front row center at a Battle of the Bands, where a lot of leather-clad, second-rate musicians, amped up to dinosaur proportions, test drove their equipment through our ears. Each time the drummer threw a tantrum, the guitarist whirled and sprayed us with machine gun riffs, as if they wished that they could knock us quite literally dead. We called that fun in 1970, when we weren't sure our lives were worth surviving. I'm here to tell you that they were, and many of us did despite ourselves, though the road from there to here is paved with dead brain cells, parents shocked to silence, and squad cars painting the whole neighborhood the quaking tint and texture of red jelly. Friends, we should have postmarks on our foreheads to show where we have been. We should have pointed ears or polka-dotted skin to show what we were thinking when we hot-rodded over God's front lawn and death kept blinking. But here I stand, an average-looking man, staring at a room where someone blonde in braids with a beautiful belief in answers is still asking questions. Through the silence in my dead ear, I can almost hear the future whisper to the past. It says, "This is not a test, and everybody passes."
The Rainbow by Thomas Love Peacock. The day has passed in storms, though not unmixed with transitory calm. The western clouds, dissolving slow, unveil the glorious sun, majestic in decline. The watery east glows with a many-tinted arch of heaven. We hail it as a pledge that brighter skies shall bless the coming morn. Thus rolls the day, the short, dark day of life. With tempests thus and fleeting sunshine checkered, at its close, when the dread hour draws near that bursts all ties, all commerce with the world, religion pours hope's fairy colors on the virtuous mind, and, like the rainbow, on the evening clouds, gives the bright promise that a happier dawn shall chase the night and silence of the grave.
Ways of Talking by Ha-Jin. We used to like talking about grief. Our journals and letters were packed with losses, complaints, and sorrows. Even if there was no grief, we wouldn't stop lamenting as though longing for the charm of a distressed face. Then we couldn't help expressing grief. So many things descended without warning, labors wasted, loves lost, houses gone, marriages broken, friends estranged, ambitions worn away by immediate needs. Words lined up in our throats for a good whining. Grief seemed like an endless river, the only immortal flow of life. After losing a land and then giving up a tongue, we stopped talking of grief. Smiles began to brighten our faces. We laugh a lot at our own mess. Things become beautiful, even hailstones in the strawberry fields.
Bilingual Bilingue by Raina P. Espiat. My father liked them separate. One there, one here. Allá y aquí. As if aware that words might cut into his daughter's heart, el corazón, and lock the alien part to what he was, his memory, his name, su nombre, with a key he could not claim. English outside this door, he said, and Spanish inside. Y basta. But who can divide the world, the word, el mundo y palabra, from any child? I knew how to be dumb and stubborn. Late in bed, I hoarded secret syllables. I read until my tongue, mi lengua, learned to run where his stumbled. And still, the heart was one. I like to think he knew that even when proud, orgulloso of his daughter's pen, he stood outside mis versos half in fear of words he loved, but wanted not to hear.
The Children's Hour by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Between the dark and the daylight, when the night is beginning to lower, comes a pause in the day's occupations that is known as the Children's Hour. I hear in the chamber above me the patter of little feet, the sound of a door that is opened, and voices soft and sweet. From my study I see in the lamplight, descending the broad hall stair, grave Alice, and laughing Allegra and Edith with golden hair. A whisper, and then a silence. Yet I know by their merry eyes they are plotting and planning together to take me by surprise. A sudden rush from the stairway, a sudden raid from the hall. By 3 doors left unguarded they enter my castle wall. They climb up into my turret, over the arms and back of my chair. If I try to escape, they surround me. They seem to be everywhere. They almost devour me with kisses. Their arms about me entwine. Till I think of the Bishop of Bingen in his mouse tower on the Rhine. Do you think, O blue-eyed banditti, because you have scaled the wall, such an old mustache as I am is not a match for you all? I have you fast in my fortress, and will not let you depart, but put you down into the dungeon in the round tower of my heart. And there will I keep you forever, yes, forever, and a day, till the walls shall crumble to ruin and molder in dust away.
The Delta by Bruce Bond. If you are going there by foot, prepare to get wet. You are not you anymore. You are a girl standing in a pool of clouds as they catch fire in the distance. There are laws of heaven, and those of place, and those who see the sky in the water, angels and ashes that are the deltas now. They say if you sweep the trash from your house after dark, you sweep away your luck. If you are going there by foot, bring a stick, a third leg, and honor the great disorder, the great broom of waterfowl and songbirds. Prepare to voodoo your way, best you can, knowing there is little water in things you take for granted, a little charity, and squalor for the smallest forms of life. Voodoo was always mostly charity. People forget. If you shake a tablecloth outside at night, someone in your family dies. There are laws we made thinking it was us who made them. We are not us. We are a floodplain by the Mississippi that once poured slaves upriver to the fields. We are a hurricane in the making. We could use a magus who knows something about suffering, who knows a delta's needs. We understand if you want a widow to stay single. Cut up her husband's shoes. He is not himself anyways and walks barefoot across a landscape with no north. Only a ghost tree, here and there, a frog, a cricket, a bird, and if the fates are kind, a girl with a stick who is more at home being homeless than you will ever be.
Spanglish by Tato Laviera. Pues estoy criando Spanglish. Bicultural systems, scientific, lexicographical, intertextual integrations. Two expressions as extensionally wired. Two dominant languages continentally abrazándose. En colloquial combate, en las aceras del Soyol, Imperio Spanglish emerges. Control bandillaje sobre territorio bilingüe. Las novelas mexicanas mixing with radio rock and roll. Condimented cocina lor, immigrant, migrant, nasal mispronouncements. Baraja Chismeteo Social Club, hip hop Prieto Street Salsa. Corner Soul and Mixurando, Spanish Pop Frandula. Standard English classroom with computer technicalities. Spanglish is literally perfect. Spanglish is ethnically snobbish. Spanglish is cataholy intelligentsia. Which U.S. slang do you speak?
I'm Trying to Break Your Heart by Kevin Young. I'm hoping to hang your head on my wall in shame. The slightest taxidermy thrills me. Fish forever leaping on the living room wall. Paperweights made from skulls of small animals. I want to wear your smile on my sleeve and break your heart like a horse or its leg. Weeks of being bucked off, then all at once you're mine. Put me down. I want to call you thine, to tattoo mercy along my knuckles. I assassin down the avenue. I hope to have you forgotten by noon. To know you by your knees, pulsed by prayer. Loneliness is a science. Consider the taxidermist's tender hands trying to keep from losing skin. The bobcat grin of the living.
Hi, my name is Tammy Holland, and I will have the honor of seeing all the Poetry Out Loud tapes today. I want to praise you for your effort in this challenging time, your perseverance in memorizing these poems and learning how to present them in their best light, and I so look forward to hearing your work. I'll be reading one poem today. It's called Every Morning the Squirrel Comes. Every morning the squirrel comes along the ledge of the back fence, around the corner, onto the small branches of the sick elm, From the elm to the poplar, across scraggy bark, it makes its daily heroic leap into the fine stems of the maple, and there feasts on leftover spinners from fall, each seed curled with potential. It's the wild leap I love, the branches quaking like a bobblehead, snow or leaves flying in season, and the happy squirrel bounding along to solid trunk and then up the next rung to light branches nearer the sky, sometimes circling or chasing in dappled sun. In summer, it splays along the central trunk to cool, and then, as if leaping tree to tree were everything, it takes its flight. Easy for a squirrel, no concern for a slip that might send it breaknecking down or into the mouth of the neighbor's cat who waits in the shrubs, twitching its full tail. Every day a leap, and then another, as if falling could not be further from its mind. That is my own poem. It comes from a book called What Does Not Return.
Early Affection by George Moses Horton. I loved thee from the earliest dawn, when first I saw thy beauty's ray, and will until life's eve comes on and beauty's blossom fades away. And when all things go well with thee, with smiles and tears, remember me. I love thee when thy morn is past and wheedling gallantry is o'er, when youth is lost in age's blast and beauty can ascend no more. And when life's journey ends with thee, oh then look back and think of me. I love thee with a smile or frown, mid sorrow's gloom or pleasure's light, and when the chain of life runs down, pursue thy last eternal flight. When thou hast spread thy wing to flee, still a moment, wait for me. I love thee for those sparkling eyes, to which my fondness was betrayed, bearing the tincture of the skies to glow when other beauties fade. And when they sink too low to see, reflect an azure beam on me.
Thoughtless Cruelty by Charles Lamb. There, Robert, you've killed that fly, and should you 1,000 ages try the life you've taken to supply, you could not do it. You surely must have been devoid of thought and sense to have destroyed a thing which no way you annoyed. You one day rue it. 'Twas but a fly, perhaps you'll say, that's born in April, dies in May, that does just but learn to display his wings 1 minute, and in the next is vanished quite. A bird devours it in its flight, or come a cold blast in the night, there's no breath in it. The bird but seeks his proper food, and Providence, whose power endued that fly with life, when it sees good, may justly take it. But you have no excuses for it. A life by nature made so short, less reason is that you, for sport, should sure to make it. A fly, a little thing you rate, but Robert, do not estimate a creature's pain by small or great. The greatest beings can have but fibers, nerves, and flesh. All of these the smallest possess, although their frame and structure less escape our seeing.
Ode 111 by Horace, translated by Burton Raffle. Lucan, no one's allowed to know his fate. Not you, not me. Don't ask. Don't hunt for answers in tea leaves or palms. Be patient with whatever comes. This could be our last winter, It could be many more, pounding the Tuscan sea on these rocks. Do what you must. Be wise, cut your vines, and forget about hope. Time goes running, even as we talk. Take the present. The future's no one's affair.
Breakfast by Mary Lamb. A dinner party, coffee, tea, sandwich, or supper, all may be in their way pleasant. But to me, not one of these deserves the praise, that welcomer of newborn days, a breakfast merits ever giving cheerful notice we are living another day refreshed by sleep when its festival we keep. Now, although I would not slight those kindly words we use good night, yet parting words are words of sorrow, and may not vie with sweet good morrow, with which again our friends we greet when in the breakfast room we meet at the social table round, listening to that lively sound of those notes which never tire of urn or kettle on the fire. Sleepy Robert never hears, or urn or kettle. He appears when all have finished, one by one dropping off and breakfast done. Yet has he too his own pleasure, his breakfast hours, his hour of leisure, and, left alone, he reads or muses, or else in idle mood he uses to sit and watch the venturous fly, where the sugar's piled high, clamoring o'er the lumps so white, rocky cliffs of sweet delight.
The True Blue American by Delmore Schwartz. Jeremiah Dixon was a true blue American, for he was a little boy who understood America, for he felt that he must think about everything, because that's all there is to think about. Knowing immediately the intimacy of truth and comedy, knowing intuitively how a sense of humor was a necessity for one and for all who live in America. Thus, natively and naturally, when on an April Sunday in an ice cream parlor, Jeremiah was requested to choose between a chocolate sundae and a banana split, he answered unhesitatingly, having no need to think of it. Being a true blue American, determined to continue as he began, rejecting the either-or of Kierkegaard and many another European, refusing to accept alternatives, refusing to believe in the choice of between, rejecting selection, denying dilemma, electing absolute affirmation, knowing in his breast the infinite and the goals of the endless frontier, the deathless West. Both, I will have them both, declared this true blue American in Cambridge, Massachusetts on an April Sunday, instructed by the great department stores by the 5 and 10, taught by Christmas, by the circus, by the vulgarity and grandeur of Niagara Falls and the Grand Canyon, tutored by the grandeur, vulgarity, and infinite appetite, gratified and shining in the darkness of the light on Saturdays at the double bills of the Moon Pictures, the consummation of the advertisements, of the imagination, of the light, which is as it was, the infinite belief in infinite hope, of Columbus, Barnum, Edison, and Jeremiah Dixon.
Song of the Shattering Vessels by Peter Cole. Either the world is coming together or else the world is falling apart. Here, now, along these letters, against the walls of every heart. Today, tomorrow, within its weather, the end or beginning's about to start. The world impossibly coming together or very possibly falling apart. Now the lovers' mouths are open, maybe the miracle's about to start. The world within us coming together because All around us, it's falling apart. Even as they speak, he wonders, even as the fear departs, is that the world coming together? Can they keep it from falling apart? The image gradually is growing sharper. Now the sound is like a dart. It seemed their world was coming together, but in fact, it was falling apart. That's the nightmare. That's the terror. That's the Isaac of this art, which sees the world might come together if only we're willing to take it apart. The dream, the lure, is the prayer's answer, which can't be plotted on any chart. As we know, the world that's coming together, without our knowing, is falling apart.
Come Back by Rocket Calciu. I hate how I can't keep this tremor inside, this mute matter of being made extent, this shiver in being and no not being, this wild flying up from the inner surge, and this crack in the apparatus espied around the corner from my particular warble, this quiver of dissolution in the pool of no single thing, this break in the entity of the single, of not a mistake in being made, this suffering of trying to contain the infinite in language, this refusal, inexplicable from its mass, this love, love of love, this being only in your presence, this inability not to err, rather the constitution of my broken image, caressed by this permission to submerge, this bigger and bigger being, tremor of infinite allowances, this telos of cataloging that which can never be disappeared.
Dirge and Woods by George Meredith. A wind sways the pines, and below, not a breath of wild air, still as the mosses that glow on the flooring and over the lines of the roots here and there. The pine tree drops its dead. They are quiet as under the sea. Overhead, overhead, rushes life in a race as the clouds chase. And we go, and we drop like the fruits of a tree. Even we, even so.
Today by Billy Collins. If ever there were a spring day so perfect, so uplifted by a warm, intermittent breeze, that it made you want to throw open all the windows in the house and unlatch the door to the canary's cage. Indeed, rip the little door from its jamb. A day when the cool brick paths and the garden bursting with peonies seemed so etched in sunlight that you felt like taking a hammer to the glass paperweight on the living room end table, releasing the inhabitants from their snow-covered cottage so they could walk out, holding hands and squinting into this larger dome of blue and white. Well, today is just that kind of day.
Under the Lemon Tree by Marcia de la O. Not rain, but fine mist falls from my lemon tree, a balm of droplets in green shadow. 6 years now, my mother gone to earth, this dew light as footsteps of the dead. She often walked out here, craned her neck, considering the fruit, hundreds of globes in their leathery hides, figuring on custard and pudding, meringue and hollandaise. But her plans didn't work out. The tree goes on unceasingly. Lemons fall and fold into earth and begin again. Me? I come here as a salve against heat, come to languish, to let the soft burst essence of citrus, Summers distillate, drift into my face and settle. Water and gold brew at the quiet deeps at the far end of the season. Leaves swallow the body of light, and breath of water brims over. My hands cup each other the way hers did.
Hello, my name is Mark Gibbons, for those of you that don't know who I am, and I'm coming to you live from my cluttered space in my house during this virtual Poetry Out Loud experience. And I just wanted to say thank you for doing what you do, for supporting, continuing, I guess basically just loving poetry, because I think that that's really what's at the heart of this whole experience is it gives people a chance to share poetry with other people. The idea of taking these poems that you've chosen and selected inside of yourself and sharing them with others is just it just brings me a whole lot of joy. I'm a poet, and I imagine many of you are also poets, and poetry is just a different it's a different approach to the world. I mean, the world is so full of success and hustle and bustle and let's get her done and let's be something and all of that stuff that, I understand it's just the way of the world, but it's not the way that my mind works most of the time. And I think poetry tends to attract people that like to find a way to express the emotional side of what it is to be a human being. And I think that's very important. The world definitely needs a lot of love right now, and I think that's what poetry is all about. At least it fosters that. It gives us a chance to share that, our experiences of joy and sorrow, uh, and understand that we're all in the same boat. And that is the mission of poetry, I think, at the end of the day. And you all are carrying that mission forward, and I'm so proud of you for doing that. And thank you for sharing the poems that I had a chance of seeing on video, and regardless of who comes out as the winner on the point scale, it's more than that. It's something that you have inside of you for the rest of your days, and that's important. It reminds me of the one that I bet it's still there. It was from the seventh grade, I believe. Robert Frost stopping by woods on a snowy evening. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep. And miles to go before I sleep. See? Yeah, that just doesn't go away, and it's just a wonderful experience. Can I read you one? And I wish you luck in all things in this life, and always I wish you poetry. And with a poet, as you probably know, those of you who write poetry, the best thing is what you just wrote. I mean, I've memorized a lot of my poems. I haven't got this one down yet because this came at me too fast. So I'm going to read it to you. But it's just a poem that came, and it's one of the reasons why poets write poetry. One of the reasons why you find them at weddings and birthdays and anniversaries and funerals. Wonder awaits for Jerry and Larry, as in Lawrence Ferlinghetti. Today my head spins like the washing machine. No March wind blowing this lamb into a lion. Knowing Ferlinghetti left us a couple weeks ago. And though his troubles and kit bag of pages remain, he hadn't been optimistic about much, since money had gobbled up so many decades of hope he'd kindled under city lights. No, today an old pal rang me up to say another outlaw pard of our youth passed away. On this first sunny afternoon, getting a jump on spring. Dying way too soon, just shy of 69 spins, riding his motorcycle and grinning into the sun, like Ferlinghetti still waiting for that rebirth of wonder. When all of a sudden, there it was, light, inside out. No more city limits, only sky. Quiet bliss, the sound of water, the smell of fish. Unmoored. Finally, in the drift of wonder. Good luck, take care. Poetry forever.